Hello and welcome to Discover Labyrinths with Lars Hallett. Today we're going to learn how to draw the triple spiral labyrinth, or the triskelion design. Now this is a method that I was taught by Tony Christie of Ireland, who created this variation based on the triskelion triple spiral carvings that are found in Newgrange. And what's fascinating about this is that just like classical labyrinths, it can be scaled up or down to have more or fewer circuits based on the simple archetypal pattern. So today we're going to learn how to draw the 5-circuit triskelion. And just like other labyrinths, if you're standing in the center and you count the number of pathways that surround you, then here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can be a little tricky to count because one of the pathways is actually the in-between of this transition between the double spiral. So this is the 5-circuit. You could make a smaller 3-circuit that is a little compromised, but it would look like this, or you can make a larger 7-circuit, which might look like this. And these are some plans that I created for a full-size walkable labyrinth that you can see. And you could even go up higher to an 11 or 15-circuit triskelion design, or even larger than that. But we're going to learn the 5, just because start with something easy, but not too easy. This is a little compromised because you walk in and basically are immediately entering into the transition to the next spiral. Whereas here you're going to walk in, you have a little more room to breathe, come around, and then transition into that double spiral there. So it's called a triple spiral. It's actually a triple double spiral because these are double spirals that form 3 different kind of transition points on the walk. And then there is a center that is formed between the double spirals that is kind of triangular in between. So, when you walk this or trace it, you are spiraling in, spiraling out, spiraling in, spiraling out, in, out, and then at the center. And there's another version of the triple spiral labyrinth where you actually kind of walk in and go back out. But I love Tony's rendition because you are immersed into the labyrinth and it flows really nicely into the labyrinth and around. Okay, so let's get started. Something you need to know, along with, this is a 5-circuit labyrinth, is that the labyrinth across is going to be 11 circuits, 11 pathways across. So if you count, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the entrance, 7, then 8, 9, 10, 11. So this will be 11 pathways across to create the 5 circuits on either side, plus the 1 circuit kind of in the center. Now, that's helpful for knowing if you want to build this full size. You could see that 11 pathways across. If you did 2-foot pathways, this would be 22 feet across. And the height is a little less than the width. So if you want, there's not an exact computation of this, at least I don't know it, but if this is 11 pathways across, it's going to be about 10.5 pathways in height. So, and then similarly, the 7-circuit triskelion would have 15, so it'd be 7 times 2 plus 1 to make 15 pathways across. Now the first thing we need to know is that the triple spiral will be formed by 11 pathways across. So we're going to mark that out on our paper. We have to determine either on paper or if we're doing this walkable labyrinth, what is our path width going to be. So for this exercise, I chose 4 blocks as my path width. And, because we are doing the 5 circuit, then we would need 4 times 11 circuits to make 44 space for 44 blocks across. And the height of the labyrinth is going to be slightly less, so we need at least a minimum of 44 blocks for the vertical axis. And the other thing is, we don't want to create our horizontal axis in the middle of the piece of paper, because if we look at the original triskelion here, this drawing that I'm using as my model, you can see that 3 circuits are below the axis line, and then there are, not precisely, but a little bit less than 8 circuits above. So 3 circuits below, 8 above. So when you lay it out on your paper, I have gone up about 1/3 of the way and checked to make sure that I have space for 3 circuits below, but space for 8 circuits above. So the next thing we want to do is to, along our horizontal axis line, now on the piece of paper I'm going to use the graph paper as my horizontal axis, but if you're outdoors you could lay a tape measure straight across the space, and you want to mark out your 11 lines that are going to create your 12 lines that create 11 pathways. So I'm doing this every 4 blocks, and then we always want to double check and make sure that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 circuits across. And then there's going to be room for 1, 2, 3 circuits below, and then there's going to be room for at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 above. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to count in on the x-axis, or the horizontal axis. We're going to count in 1, 2, 3 points, and we're going to draw a half circle. So the way we create these double spirals is by drawing 2 half circles, and you draw 1 half circle above the horizontal axis, and then we're going to simply move our point over to the end of that upper circle, 1 over to the right, and then we're going to draw the lower circle 1 to the left. And if you see that your drawing is a little bit off with your compass, you may need to readjust your radius to make sure that you are lining up your half circles. Then from the right of your horizontal axis, we're going to count over 1, 2, 3 again, and this time we're going to go below instead of above for 3 in, and draw that first half circle, and then we're going to move this over 1 and draw the upper half circle to create these 2 beginning of the double spirals side by side. Now we're going to expand that compass to make a 2 path width radius circle, and it's going to go up and over, and it should come down and connect with the other half circle you drew, and then we're going to do the bottom 2, and then the same thing on this side. We're going to do the upper 2, and then we're going to move it over and do the bottom half circle 2 path radius. And then we're going to do one more 3, but this time it's just going to be on one side. It's going to be on the bottom half of the left, and it's going to be on the top half of the right. Now, if this is going too fast for you, then feel free to pause or even rewind as needed. Now, at this point, you can double check your work and see if you have successfully created the bottom two double spirals to make the labyrinth. And it's actually a simple double meander. So, this could actually work as a design. You meander in, out, and that would be it. So we're 2/3 of the way through our labyrinth. Now we just need to create one more double spiral above, and we will be finished. So this is the trick that Tony Christie taught me, which is if you measure from your access point for these two half circles that go above over 6 pathways to here, and basically you can see where this double spiral tail end comes here and this double spiral tail end comes up here. You're measuring between those two. It's 6. You're going to make a little light arc above the double spirals, 6 path widths. Then you're going to decrease this to 5 path widths and flip your compass over from the again from the access point for these upper half circles. We're going to come up and we're going to draw now 5 circuits above to create an intersection point, which is going to be the point for the double spiral that is going to be above the lower 2 double spirals. And again, the first one is going to be up and over 1 path width. So I'm actually measuring it from the bottom, because you can see up here it didn't show up on the graph. It shows up outside the graph, so you can't really use that to determine your path width. And it's going to go from that point that you measure, it's going to go below. You're going to draw a half circle below. I accidentally started to draw it above. And then it's going to be 1 path width there, and then a second one, which actually is going to intersect here with this double spiral that you drew on the bottom right. And then we're going to move over 1 circuit along a horizontal line that is parallel to this horizontal axis here. We're going to move over. I'm going to use the grid to show me where it is. And I'm going to go now 1 circuit up and over. And then open it up to 2. Now I can use my lines that I've already drawn as my marking points. And then 3. And now we have our upper spiral almost complete. We just need to connect these two, and we're going to come back to this point that makes these 2 arcs, and we're going to do one that goes a third up here, and that forms the center. And then from this point on the top, we need to come down around and connect. Oh, wait a minute, not from that point, from this point over here. See, this is from this point we're making the upper arcs, and from this point on the right we're making the lower arcs. So this is the point we're using, the one that was determined by the arcs that we intersected. So That's going to come down. It's a 3-path radius arc that's going to come down and connect to form that circle. And then we're going to go over and do a 4-arc radius that's going to come down, and it should connect to the edge right there of this spiral. Now if this is slightly off, then you're not being precise with where you created your upper double spiral, but you can kind of fudge it and put it together to make it come out okay. But there we go. So that's it. You may want to erase these reference lines that you used to find that point above, and you know, it just takes practice. This is something that's kind of new for me, and I'm still practicing. But there we have our 5-circuit double spiral triskelion labyrinth. Now if we were going to make the 7-circuit, then the trick is simply, instead of having the you know, this triangle we found this point here by making a line of 5 and a line of 6, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pathways to that point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pathways to this point, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pathways to this point, right? To create that. When you do the 7-circuit, now you can see this triangle, it's 8 pathways. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side of the triangle, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this side of the triangle to find that point, because you are expanding it. And then to go down, instead of 6, 6, 5, you're going to decrease it to a 4, 4, 3. So now you can see that this little baby triskelion has a triangle in it that is 4 path widths across the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 path widths on this side, and 4 on this side. So it's 4, 4, 3. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed drawing the 5-circuit double spiral, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are enjoying these tutorials. Thanks.